Good afternoon, and welcome to episode 5. I'm Nicole, and going to be doing something I didn't think I was going to do, and I'm going to explain right away that this one is going to be pretty long, and it's going to take us through a few things. First of all, I just want to say I hope everybody's enjoying the videos, and I hope you like them a lot. If you do, please do a nice like at the bottom. You'll see it on the video. And also subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe, and you'll be able to see all the videos, and you'll get actual notifications when they come up, so I don't have to put it on my Facebook all the time. Not everybody's on Facebook too, so and the other thing is share. There's a lot of people out there that you never know could use this. I've been told it's very inspirational. I'm very glad that you feel that way. I'm so happy. This is for me to get it out to people who are struggling with maybe transitioning, know someone who is, has a family member that has, and they're trying to understand a little more, a different perspective. I wish I had this when I was younger, and maybe things would have been different. I'm happy with the way my life is though now, and I'm excited the way it's going. So, just so you know, if you see me look down, I've actually got notes today. I've decided that what I do, my talks, I like to ad-lib a lot. People who know me, who've known how I've been through with my broadcasting experience and things, I do like to ad-lib a lot. But this one today is going to need notes. So I will be glancing over a bit, just to, I'll try and be the professional as I'm supposed to be through this. So the first thing I want to get to is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about two things. One very small and one very large. The very small one is my voice. I realized this week a lot that I was reverting back to my old voice, and that is a lot of insecurities and comfort, because I feel that when I talk in Nicole's voice, sometimes I get some looks and I get some people thinking, oh, she's faking her voice. Well, it's not that I'm faking, I am training, and I have to train my voice to be more feminine and to sound better. So I honestly believe this week is the week that there will be no former voice, and I'm hoping that it sticks with me, and actually I know it's going to. I'm very excited about how I'm starting to sound. I'm very happy. It's filling the face and the body. The other thing I want to talk about is my past. I wasn't going to. And the reason I wasn't going to, because my initial thought was, well, it's nobody's business. It's only mine. But then I watched the movie Disclosure this weekend, and I decided, and it really hit me, and it was good. I enjoyed every minute of it, and there's a lot of that I'll refer to, and there's a lot of other things I'll refer to. The biggest thing is, I think I need to show everybody my journey. I'm going to try and leave names out of it the best I can. If I do mention your name, it'll be a positive mention. There'll be no negativity. If I do talk about negativity, that won't be a personal thing. It will be how I feel and what happened while I was going through my life. So let's talk about the voice for a bit. So what I'm trying to do is, as you can tell, I'm trying to talk a little higher. I'm not going to do Minnie Mouse or Bernadette from Big Bang Theory. But what I'm doing is I'm talking from here rather from down here. And I'm not even going to attempt or try to do the old voice anymore, because I don't even want to go there. So what's going to be happening more is, when I talk this way, it won't be as loud as I had been. So you'll actually have to listen to me, and I'll actually have to listen to you, and I'm bad for that, and I know that. But that's okay. We're all learning, and we're all evolving. So my voice is going to be different when you talk to me person to person, on the phone, or through video. And I hope I like it. I listened to it last night actually. I did a little video for myself that I will not share, and I loved every minute of it, and I was very, very, very happy. Okay, so here we go. I did not wake up one morning. I did not go to bed one night, Rob, and wake up the next morning and say, I'm Nicole. It didn't work that way. It just, I'm sorry, it didn't. And I know there are some people that think, oh, he just doesn't want to be Rob anymore. Well, that's not the case. It's not a choice. I didn't choose to be me. I was born with male parts, but I was born with a bit of a feminine body, and I will be honest with you, it has been my whole life. I've tried to butch it up, as you want to say, because I was born with you know what. But when I started to think about things and I looked back at my life and I realized, wow, the signs were even there for me. I put everything together and I started realizing this goes back. And I'll tell you how far it goes back. I thought 10. I was thinking maybe 10, 11. But with conversations with my sisters, this goes back till I was like 5, 4. I was a little boy, living probably at that time in either Base Borden, just outside of Barrie, where I was born, or a town called Corbyville, which is outside of Belleville. But it was before I moved to Ajax. My mother would have friends over, and back in the early 70s, a lot of women were still wearing skirts and nylons, even to go out. They were still dressing, men would wear suits and stuff. Even in the 70s, they were starting to do the changeover, but women would come over and maybe I was even younger than 5, and I'd go up to them and I'd rub their legs and say, ooh, pantyhose. And I'd actually say it a lot more dainty than that. And I loved the feeling of nylon. Even at a young age, I loved that feeling. Well, that is the first memory I have, and thanks to my sisters for, making me remember that, because I do remember it now, and I totally remember how it all happened. Like, I can even picture, and I think it's Borden, I can even picture the living room. But then you start to get older, and you're a boy, so they say. And you get into sports, and that really bothers me when people say, well, you were into sports. Yeah, there's a lot of girls into sports. Have you not looked around? Have you not seen, the amount of hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball, tons of female sports. Being into sports does not mean you're male, and not being in sports means you're female. I've got tons of straight, masculine friends that could care less about sports. They'll watch it, they'll put it on and they'll see it, but they could care less. But I'm going back to that age, and I played with Star Wars figures, Fisher-Price figures. I didn't have a lot of dolls. I didn't have any dolls. But I had a lot of stuffed animals. And they were very important to me. And I'm not saying that's not a male or a female thing, but these are just things that I think of. The biggest one was growing up around 1980-81. I think that's when I really started thinking things. I remember wearing short shorts. I liked wearing tighter shirts. Not that wasn't that big. There's other guys that were doing that too, but that I remember I liked that. I liked my legs, and I still like my legs. I know there's people that don't. No, there's one person that used to razz me about them. But then when I came out as trans, he said I have nice legs. So I guess they're not good for a man, but they're good for a woman. Anyways, I remember watching Happy Days, and at that time Richie was gone, but Joni and Chachi were becoming big. They hadn't had their own series yet, but they were getting there. And I remember there was an episode where Joni and Chachi, well, Joni was in a play, and they brought some guy in to play the lead male, and he was a good-looking, strapping man, and Chachi was jealous, and they almost broke up and everything. Well, Chachi got rid of the lead. They said, Chachi, well, if you did it, you got to take over. Too bad. And they had a song, and I have to remember, "You Look at Me." And when they sang that, I was so choked up, but I was so happy that Joni and Chachi were getting back together and they were in love. And my feelings were not of love for Joni. I was happy for the relationship. I remember my sisters watching Luke and Laura for General Hospital, and I was so happy that Luke and Laura were getting married. But I couldn't let anybody know that. Watching Joni and Chachi privately at Tuesday nights in the basement by myself. Watching the wedding with my sister Shelley and pretending like I was bored and I could care less, and actually enjoying every minute of it. And this is the struggle I went on. A couple years later, I was watching a video on probably Toronto Rocks on City TV, because there was not much music yet, or maybe it had just come out. And if it did, it was paid TV, so we didn't have it, and neither did anybody else in our industry. So we were watching a video. Kiss had just come out without their makeup on. It was a big deal. They'd released a new album called Lick It Up, and they had the video on. And the video, the four guys, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons, with the two new guys, Vinnie Vincent and I believe it's Eric Carr. Well, Vinnie Vincent was wearing these boots, and they were leopard print. They were low cut, like they just came up past the ankle. You know, he had leather pants on, and I was like, wow, I would love to wear those. And later that day, I was out talking. I had a good friend that was a big Kiss fan, and he was talking about it and how they'd come out of their makeup and everything. And he said, "Did anybody see the video?" And I said, "Yeah, I love it. The one guy, he had cool boots on, those leopard skin and the light leather pants. Those would be awesome to wear." And one of the guys said, "Be gay?" He called me the F word. And that stuck for a long time in the neighborhood. My sanctuary was school. My friends at school, my friends and people in the neighborhood didn't interact. So I was lucky. No Facebook, no Twitter back then, no Instagram, no Snapchat, no cell phones. You had to pick up the actual phone and call someone, so nobody wanted to make the effort. So I was lucky. I could live two lives because it stuck. And then I discovered cross-dressing. I'm not going to get into full details of how it came about. You can draw the conclusions yourself how I came across women's underwear and stockings. It was a sick day one day, and I decided to put them on. And I love them. And I loved walking around, and I did the prancing, and I did the, I even put a little bra on. Remember, I was very skinny growing up. So I think in 83, 84, I was probably about maybe 100 pounds, maybe. I mean, I can't remember back that far, but I do remember. And I didn't just run around the house. I put them underneath my jeans. I put my jeans on. I put socks so that my pants were out, you couldn't see them. I'd walk around because I liked the feeling of them. And I loved the feeling of panties. It just was so free. But society plays a big role. And back then, homosexuality, so transing was out of the question. So this was me fighting with myself. And I had my butch days where it was sports, and started dating girls. And 15 years of age, it's just young girl, not younger, I don't mean to say it that way, but they're all young, and it's all hand holding back in the 80s, and maybe a kiss, but I loved it, because I loved just being in a relationship with someone and being with someone. And I think hanging out with girls, I just loved it, because it was that I liked just being around them. I had a lot of female friends. I had a lot of male friends too, but I had a lot of female friends and got along with a lot of females. Excuse me. So I overcompensated, tried too hard in relationships. From about 85 to 90, I had about 5 or 6 girlfriends, but nothing major. I didn't lose my virginity till I was 19, and I found it fun, interesting, but a little awkward. But of course, I'm 19, I'm losing for the first time. But I remember after, I just wasn't sure this is what I liked. So the question arises from there is, well, why didn't you just come out? Why didn't you just come out and say you were gay? Or whatever? Because at that time I was still struggling with myself. And I always knew I wanted to have children. And I've said that since I was younger. My sisters know it, my family knew it. And I know nowadays you can have children all kinds of ways. But back then there was only one way to do it. And straight heterosexual sex didn't bother me. I liked it. It was fun. I'm going to be honest. But there was always a struggle. So 1990, I go away to school, and I consider 1990 to 2005, I consider it the dead period, because this is the period where I really, really buried it. Because I met a girl in college, and we dated from 90 to about 94, 95, and we had a couple of rough spots. We had a lot of rough spots, and a lot of it was because of me. And I feel bad for her now, not bad for her, I feel bad for the situation, because if I'd been honest with myself, I could have been honest with her. But because I lied to myself, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, about lying and storytelling, because I lied to myself, I had to lie to her. And I had to lie to my family, and things happened. So here's the deal. For a long time, and I'm going to go back a bit, back to my teen years and into this, what I call dead period, I did not like myself. As a matter of fact, I found myself very boring and a castaway shadow type person. Sorry, it's a hot day today. Anyways, I had friends. I had good friends. But I wasn't up here with my friends, but I wasn't down here either. Somewhere in the middle. I was somewhere, they called me to come out and hang out and stuff like that, but I was never the go-to person. And I'm not mad at them for it. I understand. So unfortunately, I embellished. I lied. I made up stories. I said things that weren't true. I did things, nothing bad, but just enough to people figured it out. But they still hung out with me, and they're still nice, but I think they were more because I was a nice person. So in the 90s, when I started dating my first real girlfriend, and probably I categorize, there's 4, maybe 5, but I'm going to go 4 major relationships. And the first one was in college, and I'm not going to say her name. She knows who she is, and most of you do too. And we have a good friendship now. She was my first love, and she was the first person I learned how to love someone, because I didn't love myself. So it was really hard. But unfortunately, our relationship, we got engaged. I didn't know how I was going to pull that off. Because at that time I was right in the beginning, but I was struggling. And I think in my mind I knew I was never going to marry her and we didn't, because as it got longer and longer, I got scared. Because I actually cared about this person, and I didn't want to drag her into my life that was going to be for the next few years and longer. So it started getting rocky. There was breakups, there was fights, there was violence. It was a very violent relationship at some point on both sides. And then we went our separate ways. And there is a side story that we're not going to talk about, but let's just say that things ended abruptly. So then, a couple years later, I'm dating, I'm having a lot of promiscuous sex. Excuse me. This is in there, isn't it? Anyways, and I meet this young girl, cute young girl, and I get her pregnant. And she's 18 and I'm 26. And her family thinks that we should get married. Point to order, my family wanted us to have the child first and then see. Now, Caitlin and William should be very relieved we didn't do that, because I'm telling you right now, if we'd had Josh and then got married after, we wouldn't have got married. We had a very tough relationship, but this time wasn't because of my fighting, struggling, because I was committed to being a father. I was committed to being in this marriage because this was what I signed up for. I took the vows seriously. I took everything seriously. I took fatherhood seriously. My ex-wife, on the other hand, did not. She wanted to have her fun. Her youth was taken away from her. Well, she had quite a bit of fun growing up, trust me. I'd heard the stories from a lot of people. We got into a bit of a fight, rut, whatever, and then we thought we'd have the makeup child. Wow, bad mistake. I mean, Caitlin was not a mistake. Love that girl to death, and she's an amazing girl. But the big mistake was trying to have a child to make things right again. But the funny part was, we didn't do it once. We did it 2 times. So we had Katie, and it went well for a few months after she was born. And then my ex-wife decided to go promiscuous again and have affairs. And I'm not going to get into them. To a point where she asked me to leave the house, and I moved into an apartment. And I dated someone else for a while. Very nice lady, nice girl. Friends with her too. But my ex-wife's relationship fell apart, and she wanted her family back. 9/11 happened, and she wanted her family back. And I went back. I felt bad. I left the girl I was dating because I thought I was doing the right thing to go back to my family. So I go back, I get her pregnant again. William's born in 2002. We talked about going to Disney in 2003. I bought her this nice curio cabinet for Christmas. Everything I thought was great. Then Joshua's birthday in 2003 happened, and she announced that she was asking me to leave again because she'd met someone else. And this is why who I am now, Nicole, was so buried, because I was dealing with being a father, trying to be a husband that didn't work out great, trying to keep my family together, working a lousy job, 2 lousy jobs, and no, they're lousy jobs. I'm sorry if you're still working in those 2 industries. I apologize. We all have to make a living, but they are horrible, horrible jobs. My last 2 before the hospital. And you have an ex-wife who takes you to court, and uses a system to make sure she gets everything she's deserved, even though she's the one that does all the bad things. But you know what? Thank God. Here's a name for Doreen Jones, my mom. Because if it wasn't for her, I don't know how I would have got through those years with my kids. So anyways, I said the dead zone 2005. So 2005, my father dies. And my dad, to me, and I have to stress this, very important, because there are people who watch this that know some things, but I'm not going to get into them. To me, my father was a very masculine, armed forces, by the book man. Keep your hair cut, shave every day, be a man, blah, blah, blah. When my dad died in 2005, that's when things changed for me. I started, this is my third relationship, I started dating someone else, and she was really good for me because she was someone there I could always talk to and be with. And we were really more best friends, but I enjoyed my time with her. But while that was happening, my struggles started coming up again. And I started thinking about men. And I started thinking about cross-dressing again. And now to a point where I was going to Shoppers Drug, and when I would buy my shaving cream, my razors, my deodorant, and then I'd get my wife some nylons. And then I would go to Salvation Army and pick up some skirts and stuff like that, because I couldn't afford a lot, because I was still paying child support to my ex-wife, who was not using it for my children, but that's a totally different story for another day. And while that, I'm trying to maintain a relationship, and it was tough because every time we get really, really serious, I'd pull back, because that was the struggle inside me. Nicole inside was pushing back, and she was pushing back more and more. But the fight was simple, because I'd say, no, I've got little kids I have to raise. So I'm dealing with dating. I'm dealing with working low income, because I'm not working a very glamorous job, and I'm paying a lot for my children because they're not getting the services and stuff they need. And now cross-dressing is coming back up. So through those years, I'm struggling with this, but my kids are still younger. And then 2012 comes. And no, the Mayans didn't end the world. But my world changed. And for me, for the better. My ex-wife and her boyfriend are both found through the children's services to be unfit. There's allegations of abuse, neglect, and in August of 2012, after a battle since April, I'm given custody. And I'm living in a one-bedroom apartment with my mother at the time because of money and other situations. So all of this and my struggle and everything affects my job. And I'm let go for reasons I'm not going to get into. Best thing that happened to me, because one of my best friends, and I'm going to mention this girl's name because she pretty much saved my life, Amanda, told me to put my resume in the hospital. And I do, and I get the job, and we move to Welland, because I'm trying to, this is great, but it doesn't have a lot to do until I get to my new house. And I'm working call-ins, I'm being called in, and I'm taking every shift I can because I'm building my seniority, but I have money now. looking after my kids. I'm getting all the benefits. I have a good job now. I'm making double what I was making in my previous job. And kids are at the house during the day. So, nylons, eBay, nylons, underwear, skirts, wig. I know this is not a wig, this is my hair, because I don't wear wigs anymore. And I start dressing. But I'm still on this back and forth about being in a relationship, because I really like being with someone. And at that time I still think it should be a female, even though my body, and at that time I'd had quite a few encounters with men, and I enjoyed it. I like both. So then I meet this wonderful lady, and this is my fourth, what I call my major relationships. So I meet Jen, and I'm going to mention her name. And we start dating. But when we started dating, we started talking about things we like to do. If you want to say fetishes and interesting. And I told Jennifer about my cross-dressing. And I told her about being bisexual. And she found it very interesting, and we talked about it. So one of the Halloweens, I dressed up and loved every minute of it. And I got so many compliments, by the way, my legs and everything. So, and I've got the proof to show it. So if anybody denies it. And I'm realizing more and more and more who I am. And now Nicole is starting to push back hard. And so is my body. So Jen and I had a tough relationship too, because of things we both were going through. Well, around 2015, my testosterone was starting to drop. And to put it mildly, I was having problems performing. And we thought it was age, my diabetes. Tried the little blue pill, and it would help for a bit, but then fade out. We came later, and I'm going to bounce back and forth here now, finding out that it was my testosterone levels. They were dropping, and they were dropping hard. So around that time, we start watching this new Netflix show called The Orange is the New Black. Everybody's seen it. Most of you like it probably. And the character Laverne Cox plays is a trans. Now at that time I didn't know Laverne was a trans. And I didn't really know what trans really was. I mean, I knew that people had sex changes, and I knew that you could, and that's when I saw her. And then I looked her up and I went, oh, she's a transgender. And that's when I started thinking. I'm looking at the definition of cross-dressing. I'm looking at the definition of transgender. So cross-dressing is, a lot of it is more straight men who like the sexual feel of nylons, panties. They like dressing up. Then they get their sexual gratification, and then off come the clothes, and then back to male. But that wasn't me. See, I liked wearing them a lot. I like to wear women's underwear. I like to wear nylons. Like I said before, hit them under my pants. And this is when I started realizing very little muscle tone. And I know they're muscular women, but I'm just saying for me. I don't grow very much hair. Like even now when I shave my legs, I think it's once every 3-4 days, because I just don't grow hair. I grow some hair in other places, like my back, and of course my face still, because there is testosterone in me, just not a lot. So Jennifer and I have a back and forth, and we get back together, and at this point I'm dressing a lot. But when I moved back with her, I stopped it again for her. And we got through a lot of things, me having a heart attack, Jen's situations and everything, and we were getting through that. And then last summer we had a great time. Jen and I weren't being intimate anymore. And I felt bad because she's a woman and she deserves to be with someone and make her happy. But her and I were still in love with each other, and I think we still are today, but in a different aspect. Well, she was in love with Rob, and I think she's coming around to being not in love with Nicole, but loving Nicole because we're best friends. So we had the conversation last fall that she says, I don't think you're bisexual. I think you might be gay. And I thought about that, and I went, you know what? I do like being with men. And at that point, Jen was the only female I liked being with. But it was more than that. So I tried to date a guy, and that didn't work out. He was a super nice guy, but it just wasn't what I was really looking for, because I didn't like me. I'd look at myself in the mirror and I'd see heterosexual Rob, but inside it was like, that's not who I am. So in December, Will and I moved to an apartment, and I'm starting to think things, and I'm starting to feel things. And then two of my biggest inspirations, and I want to say heroes, my first one is my nephew Evan, and he is transgender like me, but he's female to male, who came out a few years ago. And here's this 16 years at the time, we go to Niagara Falls for for Christmas Eve. I decide we're gonna have a different Christmas Eve this year for my kids. I'm gonna take my kids, Evan, and my kids' significant others, if they could make it, and we're gonna go to Boston Pizza, and we're gonna have pizza, we're gonna play the games, we're gonna have a good time, fun time, go home around midnight, 1, get up in the morning, and have Christmas, and so be it. So Evan comes with us, and kid's an amazing kid, love him to death, and he has to use the washroom, and he goes, and let it be, goes to the male washroom, goes, confidence this kid has, 17 years old, just been transitioning for a few years, the confidence. And I said to myself, and here I am struggling, how this kid's got the guts of anything, and it hits me. Well, I pushed that aside after New Year's, and we get into, we get to the New Year, and I'm sitting in my apartment, and at that time, there's nothing female in my room. I've got my pennants up, I've got my hats up, which I love all my sports stuff. And my 50th birthday hits, and everybody did an amazing job. My sisters, my mom, Josh, Caitlin, William, concert for Emily the night before, the big birthday party, breakfast the morning of, the big party on the Saturday. Everything was awesome. Got to hang out with my friends, got to hang out with my other best friend, Jay. Great time. Saturday night, come back from the party, 30, 40 people came. I was so happy. Coming to my apartment, coming to my room, and I bawled for 2 hours. Not because I wasn't happy what they did for me, I was amazed. But Nicole was really pushing now. And she was basically telling me, you don't have much time left. She was telling Rob, sorry. So I was telling Rob, you don't have much time left. Baseball was coming up. So Rob and Nicole had an agreement that we're going to wait till after baseball. We're going to wait until, because Rob had committed to coach, and you're going to do that. And Nicole went, okay. And then COVID-19 hits. And now I'm in my apartment by myself with Will, but we're socially distancing too. He stayed in the living room, and I stayed in my room. We met for dinner and stuff like that, and we'd wipe things down after we use them. We want to be careful. He was working at Walmart at the time, and I worked at the hospital. So I'm in my room, and I'm watching TV, and I'm on my computer, and I'm talking to people, and I'm on chat rooms, and I'm talking about cross-dressing first, and things were going on in my head, and I started realizing, I don't know if I'm cross-dresser or if I'm trans. But I don't think about it at that time. But I started ordering things, wigs, and I started ordering makeup and things, and I do it privately. So I paint my toenails. But I'd wear socks out in the living room so Will didn't see my feet, because at that time I hadn't told him yet. So now we come to my other inspiration here, my friend Ryder, who is transitioning also from female to male. So one day I pick up my phone, I send him a message, and I'm like, I just want to say how proud I am of you, you know, everything you're going through and what you're doing, and what a hero you are, and I think it's great. And I say to Ryder, by the way, I don't know if you know, but I like to cross-dress, and I'm gay. Ryder, in his female form years ago, lived with me in St. Catharines. So Ryder comes back and says, well, yeah, I know. I did your laundry. I saw your clothes. I'd hid them, but Ryder's a very strong person, so if when he said to me, I'm going to do some laundry, can I do some of yours? I'd say the clothes are in my room. He wouldn't just go in my room and just take clothes. He'd look for the dirty, because I was, as a male, I was a slob. I just didn't care. And I hate to say it that way, but I will say it, I didn't care. So, my personal stuff, by the way, not work related. So, I said to him, well, I wish I had the guts to do that. And Ryder says, well, why not? I said, well, I don't know if I could transition. I mean, I really like the idea of being a female, because I think that's who I am. And he said, well, if you are, you should. And I said, well, I'm too old. And he says, well, Caitlyn Jenner did it. And she's a lot older than you are. You've got to be happy, and you have to be you. So at that point forward, I started becoming more Nicole to me. Baseball was still the pushback, and Nicole was getting very angry about that. I mean, I was, me being Nicole, I was feeling very angry about that. So I think I start at that point in March, April, more of April, I decide it's time to start telling people. But close, trustworthy friends, because like I said before, I can't come out yet publicly, baseball. And for those of you who want to know, I coach baseball, and I'm one of Williams' coaches, and this year I was the head coach of the team. I was supposed to be. We'll get to that in a second. So I come out to Joshua first. And he's supportive, but he's worried for me. And I understand. And Joshua is an amazing young man. He's my oldest, and he is a LGBTQ rights fighter. He's always there. He's always, you know, you're on Facebook. This kid is politically and socially motivated to have this country and our society happy, and that's the key. So I tell him first, and then I decide to tell who I think was going to be the hardest person. 2 reasons: A, I live with the boy, and second of all, he's my youngest, and Will is so masculine. He is so. The kid is an athlete. He's an amazing baseball player, and he's Will. So Will comes home, and I decide ripping the Band-Aid off. And I sit and I tell him. And he tells me that he's seen the nail polish, he's seen some of the makeup hidden, he's seen the drawer, and he knows, and he's happy, as long as I'm happy. And then I tell Katie, who I knew was going to be probably the easiest, because she's getting a female figure again. And then I tell my sisters, who are both supportive. And at that point, my niece and my nephew know. And then I start telling friends at work, and I pick the ones who I know, and I start telling more and more and more. And at this point, we're getting into June, and baseball's still trying to salvage a season. And I'm not getting it, but I'm committed. And at the end of June, I go and see my mom. And she's the big one. And I have to tell her that her only boy, her baby, has been living a sad life for 40 years, maybe even longer. That I'm sorry, but I tell her I am transgender female and my name is Nicole. And she gave me a hug. And she's still dealing with it, and it's not easy, and it hasn't been easy for a lot of people. And I get that. My best friend Jennifer's having a hard time too, because she was in love with Rob, and Rob was her rock. But I think Nicole's starting to become that for her. So I figure, okay, mom's told, I tell my mom, I'm probably not going to come up public for a long time, because I have to get through this baseball thing if it ever happens. So William and I are, we're told by Baseball Ontario that we can have, not on diamonds, but on fields, I can have me and 9 players, and we can do social distancing, just some baseball drills. Whatever. So the Monday we go, hot day, but I'm doing these drills, and as I'm doing them, I'm starting to have anxiety. And I walk over to my friend Sarah, who's there. Her son plays on my team, and Sarah's actually was my manager, is manager of the team, I should say. She does all my scorekeeping and helps out with the tournaments and all that stuff. I tell her, I'm standing by her truck, and I tell her, and she tells me, she says, I'm happy for you. You've got to be happy for you. And I said, yeah, but I'll have to wait for the baseball season. She says, why? She says, you've got to be happy for you. So I go back and I finish the drills, and I get in the car, and I'm having a panic attack. And I'm half hot, I'm half anxiety, and I'm just freaking out. So Will says, well, let's go to Circle K and get some Polar Pops. And I said, okay, good. And as I'm driving, I tell him, I'm going public today. And he's like, oh, okay. So it's all a blur that day. So what happens is I text some of my friends and family personally. I text Jennifer's sister Joanne, a couple of friends from work, the ones I hadn't told yet. Then I call work, and I need to take the day off because I'm going to be going through something, and I tell them. And they are so supportive. And that's another, I want to mention one other thing. Jim Mate, who's my union rep, a couple of days before then told me to contact HR, and they had been amazing too. I'd actually been in contact with them before June 22nd. So June 22nd, I start, and it starts with private messages, Facebook messages privately, and then once I figure I've got everybody comes the message. I change the name on my Facebook from Robert Jones to Nicole Jennifer Jones, and that's it. As of June 22nd, I became Nicole, and I said goodbye to Rob. I gave a letter to someone from Rob because I thought it would mean something to her, and it did. And I put a nice little thing on Facebook thanking Rob, because I don't regret the man at all, because he stuck it out as long as he possibly could. So at that point, I am now Nicole. So I didn't wake up one morning and decide to be Nicole. I did not choose to be Nicole. I did choose my name. I did choose that because choices, there are some things you're allowed to choose. I choose my look. I have decided I do like being a very feminine female. I do like makeup. I do like jewelry. I'm going to get my hair done on July 14th, and I think I've picked the hairstyle. I love wearing makeup. I wear it at work now, and work has been amazing. Got a few people that, I just get this now, and that's fine. That says more about them than it does about me. I'm happy for me. I've had some bumps in the road. I've had one day where I felt like maybe I'll just go back to being Rob, but 18-year-old in there, soon to be 18-year-old, said you gotta be you. And if you don't be you, you're gonna confuse everybody else. They need to get used to Nicole, and he's right. So, I now live my life as Nicole, and that's my past. Did I have bullying? Yes. There's a lot of things I could get into about that, and you know what? Maybe one of these days we'll talk about that. But I have to say, some of the friends who had some hands in it when I was younger are friends of mine on Facebook, and they are very big advocates of the LGBTQ community. I'm very happy for that. People can change. But the biggest thing is you have to be yourself. So, I told you this was going to be a long one. The thing I want to say today is that there's a difference between choices and non-choices. I did not choose to be female. I was born female. The body part was wrong, but my body has been evolving for 50 years. I have a certain a male part, but I have a frame like a female. My face is more feminine than masculine. When the HRT starts, it's going to change, but it won't take long because a lot of it's already in place. Because I am feminine. I acted feminine a lot of times. I remember people saying to me sometimes, "Very feminine today, aren't you?" And then I try to butch it up. So, I did not choose to be female. Because trust me, why would anybody choose to be something they weren't? When I was male, I would get out of bed, throw on jeans, t-shirt, put some deodorant on, and be out the door, put a baseball cap on. I'd shower once every 2 days, maybe 3. I don't miss a shower. My routine in the morning is very set. It is get up, cup of coffee, breakfast, watch a little bit of TV, then it's let William know if he needs the bathroom, because once I start, we're looking at 45 minutes, because it's shower, shaving, not just here, shaving, and it's hair, and then it's shaving, and then it's makeup, and of course got to style the hair, because right now it hasn't been styled, so I got to do it my way, but not too bad. And by the time it's all said and done, 45 minutes, almost an hour. And then you gotta get dressed. You gotta make sure you have, the right, you want to coordinate right, you want to make yourself look nice and cute and ready for the world. And then I'm ready to go. So why would anybody choose doing that over out of bed, in clothes, out the door? Because they don't choose that. I was female. I am female. But I chose my name. And I chose my style. And I chose how to live my life. Because if I continued to live as Rob, it would have been a lot darker. So, everybody says, what would happen if COVID-19 didn't happen? Well, that was simple. COVID-19 doesn't happen. I can suck it up, do the baseball, because I can, like I said, I can have something that can preoccupy me. Because when I didn't have baseball, I'm sitting in my room, and that's when Nicole is pushing back. So no COVID-19 hits. We have baseball. Baseball season goes off. Everything goes. Season's over. William goes to college in Fanshawe. I'm home alone. That's when it all starts. And so all COVID-19 did was start everything earlier. And I'm grateful for that. So, now you know my history. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, it was a lot longer than the others have been. I'm very happy that I got this off. If you want to ask more questions of me and you have me on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, go ahead. If you don't, if I'm going to share this and you're someone who I've never met, leave a comment. I'll respond. I'll read them and I'll respond. I want to thank everybody who's helped me along the way. There's been so many so far, and the past is the past. So don't forget, like the video if you like it, subscribe if you would like to continue to get notifications so you don't have to wait to see it on Facebook, and share. And you don't know who you have out there that might need this. So going forward, I'm going to try and start doing these. I'm going to start trying to do these daily, because there's a lot of things I want to talk about. I want to get into. I am not going to get political out here, but I will talk sports. My views on things. My views on. Well, it might get a little political in sports-wise because my views on female sports. My views on pay equity. My views on mascot and nicknames. I'm not doing that here today. And some of you may like it, and some of you may not like it. But just, my personal point of views. But I also want to talk about but the major point is always going to be my journey and what I'm doing. So this week, not much going on this week. Not really anything in my journey. Work this week, 5 days, no holidays this week. Next weekend, taking it easy because on the 14th I have my hair appointment. On the 16th I have my counseling appointment, and I have my doctor's appointment on the phone with Dr. Massarella. And at that point we're hoping to start get a date for the start of the HRT, which we're hoping for the beginning of August 4th, around there. I'm going to be honest, I start tomorrow if I wanted to. I really want to start because I need to make this journey be a part. I think I'm doing a good job being feminine. I think I'm doing a good job looking the part, but I really want to look the part naturally. So I hope everybody has a great day. It's a little cloudy out there today down here in the Niagara Peninsula. I hope wherever you are, it's sunny, it's nice, enjoy the heat, get out, have a cold one, whether it be beer, sangria, wine, whatever you want. Just remember, as always, I love you all. Thank you for being on my journey, and have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you.